HalferLand videos.
Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to HalferLand videos. We are on day 3 of the turbo build, the J series turbo build. So where we left off yesterday, it took me about 6 hours to get these 2 pipes done, but that is the down pipe off of the turbo, and then this connects into the down pipe and runs back to my catback. So what I need to do, I need to wrap those because they're 100% done. Yeah, so I need to wrap both of those. I need to fit it to the exhaust, and then I need to take off, I'm gonna call this the wastegate pipe. I need, or the wastegate up pipe, or the turbo up pipe. I need to take that off, and I need to wrap that, and then that should be good. So I need to take that off, wrap that, and then wrap those 2 for right now, and then I could start on the oiling system. I think I'm gonna do the oiling system first. I'm gonna do the feed, and I'm gonna figure out the return, and then I need to put the return bung on, or the fitting, whatever you call it, on the oil pan. So that's what I'm gonna do right now to get started, and then after that, it's all gonna be coal side, which I've already mocked up before, so I'm pretty sure I know exactly where I want everything to go, but you never know, things could change. So getting there guys. Appreciate you guys being patient and watching and all the support, so stay tuned and let's get going. This turbo has been outside for 2 days and it's already starting to get that brown rusting patina on the freaking turbine side. It's crazy. I can't believe they don't do something else with these, you know, like coat them or fucking something. I know they have stainless steel and, you know, other type of material for the turbine housing, but it's just, I just find it weird that they don't do something else with this, you know, to make it not fucking rust and turn brown and nasty. Look at that. That's all from that in 2 days. When wrapping your exhaust, guys, it's always good to have gloves, because majority of, look at this, because it's usually fiberglass woven or really thin fibers. That shit will make you itchy as fuck, man. Or don't use them and find out what I'm saying, you know. This pipe right here is actually the closest pipe to any of my electricals. It is the I guess the down pipe. It's the pipe that comes off of the turbo and runs through here. It gets really close to all those electricals, so I'm actually going to double wrap it. It may not be required, but I mean, it'll give me a little more peace of mind knowing that my electrical components are not going to fry, or at least that I did everything I could to protect them more, you know. And the wrap that I use, this is real lava wrap. I don't use the fiberglass. I just found that, you know, or from what I saw, is that like DID or fucking whatever it is. They make really good heat resistant stuff, and from what they were saying and what I've seen, that the lava wrap really does the job. Same thing as my turbo blanket. It has a lava, but that one is actually fucking what? Hold on. This blanket is actually a thermal zero blanket with the lava inside. And that's what I found. That's what I saw after all my research that does the best. So I want to keep the engine temps down, but I also want to keep the exhaust temps up within the pipe, which helps with scavenging and spooling up the turbo and everything. Alright, what I'm doing here is I'm going to need to drill a hole through this support bracket, because I really don't feel like putting everything back on just to take measurements and then weld on a hard bracket that will mount to the car or to the transmission. So I'm going to drill a hole, and then that will allow me to just make a bracket and bolt it up and bolt it in to the transmission. When you're doing this and you want a mounting point, you want to make sure that you mount it to the engine or the transmission, because they move separately from the car. So if you mount it to the car and then the engine moves, obviously the turbo is mounted to the car, it's going to snap any type of bracket that you have. So you always want to mount it to the engine or the transmission. All right, here are the 3 hot side pipes that will feed the turbo and then get the exhaust out. Or actually, those are the 3. I still got 2 on the cat deletes. So I still got the main pipe right there, as you can see. So that main pipe is still there, but those other 3 are done. So now what I need to move on to is I need to drain the oil, and then I need to put my oil return, and I need to do my oil feed. And I'm going to do the oil feed with the oil filter sandwich. I've heard good things and I've heard bad things about it. By far it is the easiest way to go about feeding your turbo with oil, if you can find it. Let me see here. Here it is. There's the feed line, and then here is this, and you will see that I have my oil pressure switch, and then I forgot what this one. Oh, I have pressure and temp. So oil temp, oil pressure, and then this is going to be the feed to the turbo right there. And then here are all the miscellaneous O-rings and some other shit, washers, which I didn't put on because I don't really need them. But that's that right there. And then this is going to be the feed line that's going to run up to the turbo. So let's get started on this. It's hard to show you while I'm under the car how this works, but for the most part, one of these will screw into where the oil filter goes. So you screw it in, and then the oil filter will screw into this. It's just a matter of finding which one is the right size. Make sure you move the O-ring over. So once again, take the oil filter off. That comes down. You would screw one of these up into there, and then the oil filter would screw onto this. But you need to put, how does that go? The oil filter sandwich. There you go. So this would screw in like this. You would put the oil filter sandwich up like that. First off, make sure you have your O-rings in there. Double O-ring. This goes up in here. You screw that on while this is on. And then this is where the oil filter will screw onto. And the oil filter, if you remember, they all have rubber O-rings on the filter themselves. So that is the flat surface that it seals onto. And then from there, you pick where you want your oil pressure to be, and then your oil temp, and then this is the feed for the turbo. So that's what I need to do. I don't know if I'm going to move them around or what. I'm going to get this thing on first, see what kind of fitment I have. Hopefully everything fits well, and if it does, it's going to go on and I will feed the fucking turbo. Alright, right now I need to loosen up my pre-cap deletes so I can get the lower turbo manifold off, so I can pull the oil pan. Shouldn't be too bad, but It's just a bunch of shit you got to take off just to get to the oil pan. And once I get the oil pan off, I will basically I'll put the oil return fitting on here. I'll drill through, put a fitting on, and then I'll mount this one back to the motor. Turbo manifold off so I can pull the oil pan. This is every single hot side pipe that you need for a Honda Accord or a 7th gen. Probably 8th and a 9th, but I couldn't tell you because the accessories and like the locations could be slightly different. The motors are basically 100% the same, but like I said, there could be a couple differences. But for the 7th gen, this is everything you fucking need, at least the way I went about it, mounting the turbo in the stock battery location. So that's them. This is what took me, what, 3 days? This is day 3. That took me 3 days. Looks good though. I like it. Nothing's rubbing. I did have to clearance one pipe. By clearance I mean fucking hit it with a mallet to make it smaller. I went over that in I think the last video, where Motor Trend or somebody did a test. It was like Engine Labs, Motor Trend, the same Roadkill guys. They did a test where they clearanced a bunch of headers and it made 0 difference. But anyways, all right, let's keep moving. Like I said, next step is damn oil pan and that. All right, so right now I got the oil draining. Obviously, once that is done, I can pull the oil pan off. And then while that's draining, I'm actually gonna go put the fitting on the new pan, or the old pan, whatever you want to call it. But a good habit to form is to get like a clean pan that you can look through easily. Not look through, but clean, and it will have a good contrast. Because then you'll want to take the oil filter off and pour that oil into the clean pan and look for any gold shavings. Last time there was a fair amount of gold shavings, but I couldn't tell if it was from the gold on the motor, because my hand did get gold flakes on it when I was taking the oil filter off and the oil drain. And the oil got on my hand and then it went into the pan, so I was like, fuck, I don't know. But right now I'm gonna, not right now, but once this is done draining, I'm going to pull the oil filter and I'm going to pour it in here, and I'm going to look for flakes. I'm not sure how well you guys will be able to see this, but there is a very, very minute amount of contaminants in there, and it'll be obvious, guys. It will literally look like gold flakes, like you hit a fucking gold mine. If you have an issue, there will be a shitload of it. But from my experience, every vehicle that I have ever changed the oil on, which is quite a bit of vehicles, like right there, you can see that one. See that one? That, I can't tell if that is, again, from the oil, the paint on the motor, or because that was a big chunk, where most of the little ones are just, I mean, tiny little flakes. But most of the vehicles I've done through the years, or vehicles that I've changed the oil on, there's always a very small amount. Now if you drain the oil and you see fucking flakes everywhere, then you know you got a major issue. But like I said, normal wear and tear, there's always going to be just a very minute amount. Alright, I didn't really realize that I would be able to show you guys this. I didn't intend to pull the wheel, but I remembered it's a lot easier getting to the oil filter if you do pull it. So let me show you what I am going to do here in regards to the oil feed and the oil filter sandwich. Alright, so like I was saying before, let me grab this over here. As I was saying before, you need to figure out which one is the correct size. They look almost fucking identical, but you'll see one's a 3/4, and I'm gonna guess the M20 by 1.5 is gonna be the correct size. And sure enough, it is. All right, so the M20 by 1.5. Then you need to make sure your gasket's on there correctly. I'm gonna go ahead and just use a little bit of the old oil, dip it on, and I'm going to oil up the O-rings. One, to make sure they don't really dry out and crack, but also to make a good seal, just like that. And then let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Yes, I would have been forgetting an O-ring, so let me pull this O-ring off if I can. pull this one off. And don't discard your spare O-rings, because you never know. I mean, it could be leaking in the future, and you may need to have those spare O-rings to replace the leaking one. So mark, put it in a box or a bag and mark the bag with what it is. Oil filter sandwich parts, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But so this is what I'm gonna do. Once again, just a little bit of oil. Lube that guy up. Alright. Put him on. Hopefully you guys can see this. I think you can. Alright. He's on there. Again, I'm gonna oil up the... You know what? I'll do this with clean oil. Whenever I put on the oil filter, I need to go get a new oil filter. That bitch would not come off. So what I always do, I come in through here, I take a screwdriver, I hammer through that bitch through both sides, and then I spin it off. I would say majority of the time, I would say probably 4 out of 10 times I have to fucking do that for whatever reason. Alright, so now this goes on like this. Alright. Make sure you get a clean spot on here. Make sure this is all clean. Make sure that's good. Alright. Make sure this guy's clean. It's good to go. And then go ahead and push him up to the top and start spinning this bitch on. Put that one there. But then that's not going to travel that high. I mean, as you can see here, the highest that can travel is like there. So, alright. Because it's not going to travel higher than that. So, let's go ahead and put this guy. Or should I put him there? Ooh, that's close, but it will fit. It's close, but it works. Oops, wrong way. Yeah, that's good. And then obviously from here, guys, you just put on your other fittings and route it however you want. That's basically it. That's all there is to an oil filter sandwich. This is the kind of shit you find out when you mod your car. With the oil filter sandwich on, the oil filter actually runs into the lower control arm. Somebody mentioned that to me before, but I thought he meant like under load it was hitting the oil filter. Now I see what he's saying. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to clearance the lower control arm just a little bit. What I mean, I'm just gonna shave off a little bit, because if you feel on the inside there's a little ridge. If you smooth that ridge down, you should be able to get the oil filter on, and that's really all there is to it. You're not gonna mess up the structural integrity of the control arm. You're just smoothing down. Basically it looks like that ridge. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's basically a ridge right there in the middle where the part forms, or where they press it. So I'm going to grind that down and keep grinding until it fucking fits the oil filter. Well, after what seemed to be like a fucking lifetime, I clearanced the back of the control arm just enough that I can get that on. So now it threads on there just fine. As you can see, it sits on there. What I'm also gonna do, I'm gonna get a shorter oil filter. So I'm gonna get a shorter oil filter by maybe a ½ inch or an inch, whatever one I can find. Shouldn't hurt at all. If anything, I'll just change my oil out a little sooner, just because it just doesn't have the capacity to hold all the gunk and shit as this larger one does. So obviously the smaller the oil filter, the less shit it can hold. So like I said, I'll change my oil out, every 3,000. Usually I change it out every 4 to 5, but now that I'm going turbo, I'm pretty much going to be religiously every 3,000 miles. I want to keep the oil passing through the turbo clean, and you know what I mean. And with this new synthetic oil, it's new synthetic oil is fucking awesome. It's beautiful stuff. I mean, the annual protection stuff that they have, the Mobile One, they've proven, man, they've gone through multiple different independent labs and tests and shit. But anyways, it shows that the new modern day oil is fucking far superior than the old shit. So a lot of this old myths don't really hold true anymore. But anyways, so yeah, I'll change it out every like 3,000. This oil filter right here was rated to 10,000 miles. It said I could change my oil every 10,000 miles. Do I do that? No, I change it every 5 to 6. But that was NA and what's not with nitrous. Now I'm going turbo, like I said. Gonna change it out a little earlier. All right, there's the oil feed. You can see the feed line running up in there, through there, back through there, over here. Keep it away from any moving belts or anything like that. It will come up here. It'll be secured somehow. I may even run it back behind the coil packs. Not sure. I may run it up here like that, or leave it here. I think that's a cleaner look. Or even excuse me, or even run it like that. But anyways, long story short, it's gonna sit right here on the turbo. Hopefully that's enough line. I mean, it looks really freaking close, doesn't it? I would have to get and see. Dude, I think that's fucking perfect. I think that's perfect, you guys, because I'm pretty sure the turbo, the oil feed is right here, like right there. So it's either a ½ inch short or perfect. I don't know which one, but I could probably get a little more line somehow. I could probably pull it a little tighter. Whew, it's gonna be close. Whatever it is, it's gonna be super close. Yeah, I think I could feed it up behind there and get just a little more slack and run it that way. Let me try that. Yep, I was able to run it behind the windshield washer fluid, behind the power reservoir, or power steering reservoir. Even with a bend in it, I still ended up getting a lot more slack, almost on the frame rail there. So that should be plenty, and then I can clean it up and I can tie it there and then run it straight across the valve cover just like that, and it should look pretty damn good. Very clean, out of the way. It's not going to hit any belts or anything like that. Should be good there. All right, next step is going to be oil pan return. So now I need to drill this out, put a return there. It's getting late, guys, so I am going to have to go pick up my daughter, so I'm gonna have to cut the video here. But once again, guys, please hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe, all of that good shit. All right, guys, take care.